Okay, so we can start this project by going into our Illustrator and opening that up. If you can't find it, I would suggest going into, sorry, I have all these things open, going in, clicking on your desktop to get Finder to come up, and then File, New Finder window, go into Applications, and then if you scroll to the top, it should be within this folder there. You just have to open up this drop down and double click on this icon, and that will open it up. And then if you do a control click, you can do Options, Keep in Dock. Make sure that's checked, and then you won't have to go find it next time. So if we do, if we look around, let's see, I wanted to show you the rough draft that I did. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on here, but here is like a Montana shape with a color background of a circle. And then we have kind of like these, I don't know, blocks of color coming off of the circle, and then like a couple rings around that. And then they're kind of segmented into different colors, backgrounds with like, I'm thinking I could put a mountain in this shape. I can put a cactus, like a prickly pear in this shape, maybe like a dog, like a cattle dog or something. Not totally sure about exactly about the subject matters, but then a train, a mountain goat, fish, wheat, cow. I'm not really planning on doing like super detailed images, maybe just like outlines of a dog, an outline of a cow, outline of wheat, fish, you know, so on and so forth. But this cactus and this mountain, I think, are going to be a little bit more detailed just because they're in bigger shapes. And then these ones will just be purely outlines. And then I might just make these just blocks of color. I might actually leave this one big color, or I might actually segment it off further to add in more color. Because like I said, we want to try and use as much color as possible. Another thing I wanted to open up is, well, I'm not going to open it up in Photoshop, but if we go to, not saying you guys have to do this, but we're going to be using these golden acrylics. So I actually went in just to look at their colors that they have in the in their fluid collection. Under products, you go to fluid. And this is like, I guess, one of the best ones for using for murals. So here, you know, here's all the yellows and different colors, reds, blues, greens, you know, different colors. So I was almost wondering, maybe I might just try to use these colors, these straight out of the tube. So I might actually use these as samples for my colors. I'm only going to pick 10 of them to use, obviously, but I'm thinking about picking 10 colors from this palette, just to make it easier to paint. You guys don't necessarily have to do it, but just if you want to go through that extra step, you can. So if we go into Illustrator, File, New, for the new document, we're going to set this document up. It's taking a little while to load for some reason. So we're going to make sure this is on inches, this drop down here. So we want the width to be 20 and the height to be 20 inches. Just make sure. And then we don't need a bleed or anything like that. We can open up to advanced options. We want CMYK color on. If it's on RGB, make it CMYK, because we're going to print these off with the printer for class. I don't think this is going to make much of a difference for when we actually go to, like, you know, make these on walls and whatnot. This is going to be kind of a learning process for myself as well. But let's make the DPI 300. I will just leave this default and then just push create. So here's our canvas. So a good place to start here is actually, let's just do a file, save as. Let's see, I'm just going to go into my documents. Good place to put things is in documents. So this is 350. Here's my banner project folder. So I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to name this Illustrator mural project. I'm going to copy this to Command C, create, and then I'm going to name this the same thing. And make sure it's an Illustrator file. So, and you can, like obviously you can go into different, but we want AI, Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator file. It should have a .ai on the end. It's an extension here. And we're going to put that in this folder here. So that's a good way to save things. Push OK. So yeah, I guess where we can maybe start, if we're looking at, this, is we could start putting together some of these shapes. So I will maybe just start with kind of a round shape, and I'm just gonna grab the ellipse tool over here, and if you hold this down you can get different shapes: rectangle tool, rounded rectangle, polygon, star tool. I've never really used the flare tool, but that's in there too. I'll just do this again. Go to the ellipse tool, push shift down to get a perfect circle, click and drag. So here we go. And then I'm going to make sure the fill color is nothing. So this is the fill color. If you hover over it, you can see. And this is the stroke color. And strokes are just outlines. They could just call it an outline, but they chose to call it a stroke in design. And over here, make sure, let's see. We might want to go to Window and go to Workspace and go to Essentials, so that we have the Essentials workspace open. Let's see. Actually, no, we want Essentials Classic, because that other one just didn't have enough stuff open. So if we want to go into this color palette here, so make sure you're in Essentials Classic, Window, Workspace, Essentials Classic. Make sure you're in CMYK color mode, because you might be in grayscale, you might be in RGB, so just make sure you're in CMYK. Here's your swatches panel. This is your kind of your color mode area where you can choose which one you want. Brushes. I don't use all of these things. This is a stroke thing. Gradient. So there's just different things over here. A lot of these I don't even use. Here's layers. I don't usually use a ton of layers, but I guess it's not a bad idea. In fact, maybe what we'll do is we will do a file place to bring in our drawing. Or maybe I have that in my downloads. Let's see. I'm trying to bring this drawing in. I'm in Adobe Photoshop right now, so you don't have to bring yours into Photoshop. I had to, because I had to crop it and stuff. Okay, so let's just do a file place to bring in let's see, there we go, to bring in our rough draft from our desktop. So I'm just going to put that over here, maybe just so I can reference it a little easier. And it's off of my artboard. So here's the circle. We can kind of try and center this as best we can in the canvas. I was thinking maybe some rulers might come up to tell me where, oh, maybe they are kind of. Okay, well maybe that is center. And then I'm going to find this Montana shape. So if I go online and look up Montana outline, I've already made one of these for my last project, so this will be a little bit redundant, but let's see, let's find a decent looking one. This is a pretty good one. So if I'm just going to kind of drag this down onto my desktop, so I'm kind of minimizing some of my windows. This looks like a pretty good Montana, so I'm just going to grab this, bring it onto my desktop. Or you can do a control click and save image to download, save image as, whichever you feel like you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and bring it into Photoshop. Do a file open, find that on my desktop and push open. Because I'm going to crop it with the crop tool. I'm going to get rid of this part of it. And I'm going to do image mode grayscale. And I'm going to just discard all the information. And then we'll do a Command L. Command L to get levels up. And I'm just going to make the black black and the white really white. So this is the whites in the image, this is the blacks in the image, this is the midtones, which there aren't any. But I'm just going to drag this black over till I get a really nice rich black. And I'm just going to kind of make sure that my whites are bright. Push OK. And then I'll just do a Command S or File Save and push OK. So I just saved over that file on my desktop. See how it's black and white now. It's a JPEG.jpg. So if I go into Illustrator, I can do a File, Place, and I can find this map and bring that in. And there we go. So that's our JPEG. It's in here. We did a File, Place. And then we can go to Object, Image Trace, Make and Expand. So Object, Image Trace, Make and Expand. That's going to be one of your best friends in here. So now you can see it traced it. Illustrator traced it. And it's all still one chunk. If you do a Shift Command G or Object Ungroup, I can't do it now because I already did it, but here I'll do it again. Object Ungroup. That'll bring, because there's a white background on this for some reason, so you can see the white background. If I drag it over, we don't want that. We just want to do a delete on that, and we want this shape. Oops, sometimes this happens. You just have to click back. So we actually want this shape. And I'm going to do like we did before. I'm going to have to see how our fill color is right here, and it's black. And our stroke color, or outline color, is nothing. I'm just going to do this so that I get these outlines again. So this is looking like kind of like a line drawing. So to size this down, you just grab it from the corner in Illustrator. You don't need to get a special tool. You can grab the free transform tool, but you can also just grab it and push Shift from the corner and bring it down in size. It's pretty easy. So I'm just going to kind of center this in here as best I can. Kind of go like this maybe too, because it looks like it's a little cattywampus. All right. Doesn't look too, it looks pretty good. And eventually we'll fill these in with color, but once we figure out our color scheme. So I'm just going to kind of go, I'm just going to keep going with this type of technique. So follow along in the next video. We'll just continue constructing our mural.